Everybody, just stand up for a second. Let's get the energy moving. I know you want to stretch your legs, and it's cold. Why don't you introduce yourself to somebody you haven't met before? So turn around, say hello. I'm all about energy. Hi. So I felt because we're in the Bible Belt, we can be a little all about fellowship this afternoon. So thank you. And I'll begin. When I was in third grade, I was enrolled by my elementary school in a program called GTC. And what GTC stands for is Gifted, Talented, and Creative. And that program was designed to allow a select few number of students to develop and hone their skills in a non-traditional schooling environment. And looking back on it, I definitely think that somebody made a mistake because I was not necessarily gifted nor talented, but what I was weird. And so from an early age, I equated being creative with being weird, and I kind of still do. But let me tell you why that experience in third grade is so important and pivotal to my development. Is because in third grade, that was really the first time that I realized that, like my fingerprints, that I was unique. And it was really the first time that I started to think that that was pretty awesome. And so we all go through kind of this moment of when we realize our self. So when you realize the concept of self, you naturally realize the concept of difference. When you realize the concept of self, you realize the concept of difference. And once that pathway in your neurological processor, your brain, is established, there is no turning back. So for creative individuals, it sets up this dilemma. You know, am I to be creative or not? And I obviously chose to be creative. Social scientists actually believe that the self is split up into two different parts. And the first and most basic part is the existential self. And the existential self has to do with the realization and the internalization that you understand that you are an object of this world and that you exist over time and space. And the second part of self is the categorical self. And this is an added layer of complexity in the sense that it deals with the internalization that you understand that you are an object of this world who can be experienced by others. Okay? So the existential self has to do with how you perceive the world, and the categorical self has to do with how the world perceives you. And that is how we kind of align in social sciences what the self is all about. So what's the point, and who cares, and how does this tie back into creativity? Well, simple. I believe that creativity is a tool that can be used to uncover the truth about us all. And I'll repeat that because, as Oprah says, it's a tweetable moment. Creativity is a tool that can be used to uncover the truth about us all. So what does that mean? In graduate school, I had the opportunity, the ability to study consumer behavior. And basically what consumer behavior, the discipline, is concerned with is examining how we humans establish choice, how we determine preference, how we establish loyalty. So we are those data geeks, those survey geeks, those studiers of behavior that really kind of interview you on a one-on-one basis, on a group basis, look at your group dynamics, invite you to focus groups so we can really get to the insights behind how you make a choice. And then in my day-to-day job as a marketer, it's actually my directive to understand how you make a choice and then manipulate you into making another choice that puts money in my pocket. And so that's just how marketing works. But so what's the point, and who cares, right? We all discover who we are. We all establish preferences. We all establish loyalties. But what I've known from my postgraduate research and through a couple decades of study and through my own personal experience, having talked to hundreds, if not thousands of people, is that there are two central themes that we all carry with us throughout the course of our lifetimes. And the first theme is a supreme question that we all investigate throughout the course of our lifetime, a supreme question that has to deal with our origin. So if you lie awake at night thinking about where did we come from, how did we get here, what's the meaning of life, all of those questions in that weird space that keeps us up, those are questions of origin. And then the other thing that we carry with us is an instinctual purpose. And this might be a little bit more tangible for you to grasp. Our instinctual purpose is to ensure survival. And that has to do with outlook. And so ensuring survival could be, looking for what we're going to eat later tonight. It could be ensuring that our family has enough money to last beyond our death. It could be ensuring that our cultures and our values and our way of life precede war. It could be ensuring that humans survive an extinction level event. So questions of origin versus questions of outlook. And so how does this tie back into creativity? Well, I believe that creatives have the keys to unlock the truth about us all. And one way that we draw nearer to answering those questions of origin and fulfilling our purpose of outlook is through the process of learning and teaching. And so I've had to kind of redefine what learning and teaching is for me. And there's a couple teachers in the audience, so thank you guys. I define learning and teaching as such. To learn is to understand from where you have come, and to teach is to help navigate where you should explore next. So to learn is to understand from where you have come, question of origin, and to teach is to help navigate where you should explore next. Outlook, origin, outlook. See how that works? And so how does this tie back into creativity? And so I had to kind of figure out what exactly I wanted to say. What is the difference between a creative individual and a non-creative individual? Creatives have the same hopes, fears, dreams, the same themes regarding origin and outlook. But a creative is focused on navigating that information and learning and teaching from a unique, unpopular, or new perspective. And that's simple, that's the difference. Creatives place a lot of self-value in investigation of the anomaly and teaching us all something we may not have heard before. In being that awkward person that draws the most ugliest art in the gallery out there, right? Because that is an important part of the human condition that is worth exploring. Creatives naturally understand that there is value, there is power, there is awesomeness in those untold stories. And so we find ways to express that. So we've been navigating in this highly academic, theatrical space up here, and so I want to put this into practice. I mentioned that I'm a consumer behavioralist. I studied consumer behavior and conducted some postgraduate research, so I want to run you through three examples from the research, and I want you to just answer in your mind how you naturally would respond, and then we'll see how you line up with the data. So, okay, this is a fun exercise. Okay, so the first example is you are sitting here at TEDxVanderbiltUniversity, not hard to believe, right? And you happen to be sitting next to your mother. And so if I were to tell you that this was the last chance that you would see or speak to your mother, what is one phrase that you would say to your mother? One phrase to say to your mother if you were never to see her again. Okay, so you've got that. All right, and let's move on. Second scenario, let's go to the bathroom. So we've all visited a public restroom, or at least hopefully. You probably have to go right now, so that's okay. So this example has to do with choice. You enter the public restroom. There's the door. There's stall number 1, stall number 2, 3, and 4. These are identical stalls. Only you happen to be a germaphobe. So your goal is to select the stall that you think has the least amount of germs. So which stall do you choose? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Okay, you got that in your mind. And then third example, let's stick with the bathroom because potty humor is awesome. Only in this example, you're no longer a germaphobe. You still have to go to the bathroom, and this bathroom only has urinals. Only you step into the bathroom from the door, and there's a man at urinal number 1. So of the available urinals, 2, 3, or 4, which one do you choose? Okay, so you've got that in your mind, right? Let's go back. So in the mother example, 97% of respondents in the survey mentioned the word love, said, I love you, to their mother. That would be the last thing that they said. So congratulations, if you were within that 90%, you are in line with what we consumer behavioralists would call normative behavior and what the young kids would call basic. And that's great. So in the second example with the stalls. So just about 90% of people opted for stall number 3 as the one that they thought contained the least amount of germs. And what's really interesting about that is that because 90%, the overwhelming majority of people chose stall number 3, you actually defeated your goal of choosing the stall which least contaminated from germs. So that's an argument for not being basic, right? And let's go to the urinal example. So There was no clear winner in terms of one out front winner. But what we learned from the research, from the data, is that 98% of people would choose either urinal number 3 or urinal number 4. And so if you are within that 2% that went and peed next to the man, you're just awkward. And so these are funny examples meant to highlight a point. But what I'm trying to get at is, as a creative, as a researcher, my work's not done just because I know what the majority of people would do. The awesomeness, the power, the value in this research is taking that a couple steps deeper and looking at those anomalies. So case in point, with the mother example, the interesting thing about that research is that 3% of people did not say, I love you. So what did I do? So what do we do? And so in the follow-up interviews, I'm mining the data, looking for those key themes that pull out. One answer stuck with me. A gentleman had written down, I forgive you. Just say that again. I forgive you. And so that is an interesting part of the anomaly that teaches us about the human experience. The ability to have mercy, the ability to forgive, the ability to have empathy. And that is an interesting quality that comes from looking at, in this example, the anomalies. So just because I'm standing here in this red dot saying that I'm creative, it doesn't mean that you're not creative. Do not subscribe to the notion that creativity is only an expression of art, of music, of dance, or bad poetry. Because that's just not true. Albert Einstein was a creative. Harriet Tubman was creative. You can be creative. If you love Excel spreadsheets, you can be creative, and that's what we pay our accountants for. If you are an athlete, you can be creative. Find a new route, design a new play. If you are a politician, you can be creative. It's certainly working for Donald Trump. Creativity is certainly just the validity for the argument. It is the process of connection. Creativity has the ability to link our origin to our outlook. So if you subscribe to the notion that there is value in learning and that there is value in teaching, then you, by definition, have to understand the power of the investigation to get there. And because you understand the power of that investigation and what it yields, it's essential that you find a tool that helps you shine a light on the great unknown. For me, the tool that I use, that I was born with, that I hone, that I harness, that I develop each and every single day is creativity. And so I would invite us all in this room and beyond on the live stream to step inside ourselves as creatives, to reframe, rework, redevelop how we think about the world and our conventions, to challenge those thoughts, those theories that seem so perfect and complex, and to encourage the next generation of creative thinkers to do the same. Because as we've just demonstrated, without creatives and creativity, we're all just a bunch of normative behaviors. We're all basics. So, don't be basic. Thank you, that's my time.